Let's review Keychron K3 MAX wireless mechanical keyboard. This is ArtIsRight. Before we start, subscribe if you're new and hit on the bell icon so you'll be notified every time I upload cool new videos like this. Full disclosure, Keychron sent me this to do a review. All the opinions are my own. Before we talk about this setup, let's quickly talk about keyboards. Many of us would use a keyboard that comes with our device, such as a laptop that has a built-in keyboard or the one that comes with our desktop computers. However, there are many of you like myself that choose to use a third-party keyboard because we like the ergonomics, because we want a different aesthetic, we want a different feel, and we also want a different sound, particularly the mechanical keyboard sound as you're hearing right now. So this is where a company like Keychron really comes in handy because they specialize in mechanical keyboard manufacturing. And there are different ways to really customize this particular keyboard. But even on their website, there are so many different lines up of keyboard that you can really choose from. And there are so many variety of them. Now, when it comes to the world of mechanical keyboard, it can really run a gamut from pre-manufacturers like Keychron themselves or other major manufacturers. The difference between Keychron and other major manufacturers of these pre-built mechanical keyboard is the software. Keychron uses a open source software that is the same one that if you would have gone out and built your own mechanical keyboard, which you can really invest a lot of time into, which I don't want to do that, and part of the reason why I choose Keychron instead, or you can also go in and hire someone to pretty much custom build a mechanical keyboard for you, which can definitely cost thousands of dollars. Again, not the route that I definitely want to go in, but they use the same software, which is the VIA app. That is a web-based software. You can go in and fully customize these keyboard. The difference between this, like I said, and other major manufacturers is that the other major manufacturer would generally use a self-built proprietary software, and those software tend to be somewhat limiting in terms of capabilities of customizing it. And a lot of times you have to choose between a creator or a gaming keyboard, and the software would have limitation based on the type of keyboard you choose, whereas this one you can really go in and fully customize everything. The only one downside about this, I would say, in terms of customization is that you have to spend the time to really customize this to really what you want, and you can definitely invest a lot of time in pretty much customizing all these keys. But let me also say this. Very similar to the other major manufacturers, if you just want a nice keyboard without having to customize it, this will work right out of the box as well. So you don't necessarily have to go and program this, although you can certainly do that. So pretty much in the box itself, what you do get is just this keyboard that is really well built. It is aluminum on, the frame. I really like the feel of this. The other thing that I do like about mechanical keyboards in general as well is that all these keys stands out so that you can just really use a can of compressed air to pretty much clean your keyboard, and it makes it very easy to do that. On top of the keyboard, you have a USB Type-C connection. Now on the Keychron keyboard, particularly this one, and I think many of their other ones as well, this will work for both data and charging the keyboard for wireless setup. You have a switch that you can choose between using the dongle, using a cable, or using the Bluetooth connection. So this keyboard can connect to a computer in 3 different ways, and you have the switch to choose between Windows, Android, and Mac or iOS. In addition to this, in the box what you do get is a USB Type-A to USB Type-C, and they also include a dongle that is USB Type-C to USB Type-A. Depending on how you want to connect this up, you can use the dongle, although their dongle is female on both ends, and I feel that it's not necessarily the best dongle because you still have to use another cable on the other end. I rather they include something like this that you can just convert it right away, but you know what, it's okay. We're going to work with this. The other thing that they do include as well is, like I said, this is the 2.4 gigahertz dongle that you can use with our keyboard. So if you want to choose this option, you can, or you can also choose Bluetooth. The other thing is also comes with the extra keycaps as well, so you can replace certain keys. Let's say you want to use on Windows and not on a Mac, you can just replace it with a window key and replace the option key with like the alt key. So you can certainly do that instead of having the command keys there. So there's different ways to really go in and changing the keycaps on these, and they also include the tools to remove the keycap too. Now Keychron also sent me me this palm rest as well. And personally for me, I've been using keyboards for a long time, mechanical keyboards in my daily workflow. I never really give it that much thought about palm rest. It's not something that I definitely need to have in workflow, but after playing around with this, I mean, it definitely elevates your palm up to a level that is much more comfortable to use a keyboard. So if you're getting a mechanical keyboard, I highly recommend looking at a palm rest like this, or something that's soft that can really prop your hands up a little bit, because I think you're going to enjoy typing a lot more because of that. Now, a couple of other things about this keyboard is that at the top you have the keys there, and we're going to talk about the switches in just a moment, but on the bottom it's pretty much just plastic, and there are two different level up that you can do on your keyboard. So you can prop up your keyboard like a little bit, or you can prop it up by a lot, depending on how high you want your keyboard to pretty much tilt up, but you have those options. And this is the way how these keys sound. And I know I'm showing this to you, and I'm sharing you the sound of the key before I even talk about the keyboard itself and the key that's in here. So let's quickly go to Keychron website, and this is the K3 MAX. So with this one, you have different variety of ways to customize this. You can get just a white backlight, you can get the RGB backlight. This happens to be the version with the RGB, but not with the RGB backlight with the hot swappable switches. So the nice thing about the hot swappable switch is that if you want certain switch to be on a different type of switch in general, or different keys to be on different switch, you can swap those out. This is not one that you can do that, so the keys are pretty much fixed. Now, it does have RGB lighting. Like I said, these are the low profile Keychron mechanical keys, and there are different options you can choose from. There's the red, which is, I would say, like the more leaner one. There is the tactile, which is like the brown, that does have some of that sound. It does have the mechanical clickety sound a little bit. You can hear it from here. But it's not quite so clickety like a blue one, which can be fairly loud in an office environment. I think this is a pretty much a good balance between sound and feel, at least for me anyway. I have been leaning towards the brown key a lot in my different like keyboard reviews and also purchases as well. Now, I also want to show us the size of this keyboard in relation to an Apple Magic keyboard. This is pretty much what we're looking at. So it is just slightly larger with the extra row there, and this is how it sounds of the Apple Magic keyboard is, so to give us some reference. And let's hear the sound from these brown keys. Again, the low profile one. So now you have an idea for the key sound. Overall, I generally like this a lot because, you know, you take it out of the box, you can pair Bluetooth right away, it works. I don't have to go in and customize it. Although customizing it does bring up, I would say, some things that does require a learning curve, and I'm going to show that to you in just a moment as well. So in order for us to customize a keyboard, what we have to do is go into Chrome, starting out, and using a program called usevia.app, and we have to add in an authorized device. Now, for us to really do that, we have to plug in this and make this a wire setup. So I'm going to use the adapter. This is pretty much the A to C adapter, which I think they'd probably be better off including something like this, but hey, you know what? It's okay. We're just going to use the keyboard. I'm going to use the cable option at the very top there. All right, now that we have talked about the physical keyboard, let's talk about the software customization for this particular K3 MAX. The first thing you want to do is go on Keychron website and download the K3 MAX keymap JSON file. Because without this, via.app would not necessarily recognize your keyboard properly, and you're not going to have a good experience programming it. So that's the first thing that you want to download. From there, you want to use a compatible browser. This will be Chrome, Edge, or Opera browser. So Safari won't necessarily work with this, and you want to connect your keyboard to the computer via hardwire like I'm doing right now. So once you go to the website usevia.app, you want to come into the setting tab, and once you're there, you want to tap on this Show Design tab. Once Show Design tab opens, you will now see that paintbrush design. Tap on that, and you want to load pretty much this keyboard JSON file in. I already have this already loaded in before from my testing, but you get the idea. And then once you do that, it will ask you to connect the keyboard to which it is now connected. Now, From here, you can do the key tester if you want to, so you can press the different keys and run the different tests. It will show that the keys are passing, they're working perfectly. This is more so if you're custom building your own keyboard, you want to test if the keys are working properly, that would be the where you would go. However, we're going to focus on the customization, which starts out on the very top left with the different layers. So there's layer 0, 1, 2, and 3. There are so many different ways you can really customize this. You can see that as I click on the different layers, some of the controls are now pretty much changing right there on the different keys. And this is the part that I was telling you about, that this software combined with Keychron Keyboard does offer you a lot of room for customizing this particular keyboard. So if I want to go in and customize a key, what I would simply do is just pretty much click on that key and I can remap it to the basic function here. I can choose different media control if I want to, different macro that I have programmed that in, the different layers. I can choose to change it between layer 1, 2, and 3 and so forth. So I can do all these specialization keys without having to press shift. For example, for the at key, I can program number 2, for instance. Let's say I just want this to be an at key. I can just do that right away, even though I don't want to right now, but I'm just giving an example. You can have it control different lighting, and you can also certainly use a custom combination key as well. So all these things you can do. I mean, for instance, let's say there's a key that I'm not really using up here, the previous, I don't want to use that, or like the mute that I don't want to use. I can set this so that it can activate Siri. So there are different ways that you can really go in and program this depending on what you want to use. Now the thing is that you just have to remember how you program these keys in general. From there, you come down this left side here, there's the macro. This is where you would come in and program M0, M1, M2, and this would correspond to this macro on this main screen here. So in this particular macro, you can record an action, you can type in the key combination that you want to use, shortcut key, and there are different, I would say, kind of like almost semi-keyboard programming terms that you have to use to specify what type of key combination you would use. You can do the recorded action, or you can also just type it in as a code. For example, the control option shift, I mean, that can be a code that you type in as well. So there are some flexibility there, but that does require learning this as well. And the next one is pretty much save and load. So here's the thing, if you go in and spend a lot of time customizing this, I highly recommend that you save these settings out. This way you have it, just in case you need to replace the keyboard for some reason, or if something go broke on the keyboard, you can pretty much load those settings in without having to spend hours recustomizing everything again. And lastly, you can go and control the different backlighting. So I can make this brighter if I want to. You can see that there, it's showing a little bit more light now. I can choose different effects. For instance, I can do solid color, and I can pick the different colors that I want this to pretty much show. This is pretty much the Keychron K3 MAX. It is one of those where you can get pretty much a pre-built mechanical keyboard with a lot of customization option depending on what you want to use, how you want your keyboard to feel and everything, and you can choose it down to those very specific details. And from there, you can go in and customize this keyboard to your exact liking and also export those options out. So it does give you a lot more flexibility compared to any other keyboards that are out there. Just as long as you can go through the learning curve a little bit of setting up the software, you're good to go. But if you just want just a plain simple keyboard that works right out of the box with multiple different options, I think Keychron is definitely the way to go. But particularly, I really love the way how this K3 really feels on, you know, in my daily workflow. Anyway, if you have any questions or comment, leave them below. Give this a like, subscribe, and hit on the bell if you're new, and in Art We Trust.